Ooh, it's the sound. It's the sound of the spaghetti slurp. How you guys doing? Welcome to Wednesday night. It is the Paranormal Portal Live once again, folks. And thank you for joining us, those of you who are coming in and are here. Good to see you all. Wonderful celebration of fun and family and the freaky, I guess, which is every show here on the Paranormal Portal. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a live show. It's 2 fun-filled hours on Wednesday night. Because what day is it?
Hump Day!
Hump Day! Bringing it in, Mr. Longbeard.
There it is.
There he is. I got him back in the studio. That's it. Enough of this. Time to show up.
Yeah. About time you get to work.
I sure hate.
Oh, how's that?
That's even better.
Oh, there you go. Maybe I should turn the microphone on next time.
Yeah, that'll definitely help
Yeah,
going forward. But, to each his own.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, huh?
You with them.
Oh, them. Oh,
Them.
okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know who them is because I ain't there yet. But
Well, how are you all doing? I hope you guys are doing great. Thanks for spending your Hump Day night right here with us on
Hump
Paranormal
Day.
Portal. And we got a bunch of fun things coming your way throughout the course of the show.
oh,
There we are.
there we go.
Go ahead, give us that.
All right, there we go.
Give us that revenue down.
I just turned it down. I'm still watching.
Oh,
the
okay,
ads.
very good.
Remember,
very good.
you have to watch the ads.
Yeah, you got to watch the ads.
Yeah, we
that goes a
appreciate
long
it
way in helping us.
A lot.
Well, I don't know how far it goes, but it goes somewhere. So we got a bunch of stuff on the board today. The phone lines will be open if you want to call in and be a part of the discussion. By all means, 720-923-0500. It's the portal numbers for fun. So if you want to call in and talk to us, that's how you do it. That's the quick and easy way. Other than that, you're welcome to in the chat. Just continue to make statements. Just make them at least in capital letters. But the best thing to do is do the @sign Paranormal Portal or Aethra Archives. That's Don's handle. And one of us will see it. But usually, maybe.
I don't wear my glasses either, so
Yeah, well,
I can't tell anymore.
I just need mine for
Don,
driving
there
for the
we go.
most part.
For
Yeah.
driving,
Yeah.
I can't see straight lines anyhow, so it doesn't.
Did your mic get off again?
Yes,
Oh, okay. How'd you do that? I thought you just had it on.
I did. I did. I just didn't want to.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we are I guess going to take a moment to thank tonight's sponsor, the sponsor of every show on the Paranormal Portal. And that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is Cryptid Coin. If you haven't heard about Cryptid Coin, ladies and gentlemen, it's a fantastic new cryptocurrency, which is taking the world by storm.
By storm.
By storm, by God. And what it is a cryptocurrency that has the cryptozoological research community at its heart, at its goal, because they are putting a certain amount of coin in trust to be utilized as means of generating grants for cryptozoological research around the world. And it's I think an incredibly noble venture because nobody's been doing that. I mean, cryptid research right now is just the investment of time, energy, and resources of the people doing it. But this should bring in some other resources for these teams around the world, and hopefully push the cryptid research to the next level. And if you want more information about it, check out cryptidcoin.io. It's on your screen right now. Again, that's cryptidcoin.io, and that's how you can learn more about it. And stay tuned for a show called Cryptid Talk, which will be coming in the near future, and that's where we're going to talk to some of the people who are trying to get some monies to continue their research. So, all right, let's get on with it. Special thanks, of course, to Cryptid Coin.
I shut my microphone off again.
Special thanks to Cryptid Coin for sponsoring the show.
Can they sponsor me on how to use a microphone properly?
Well, I think we could probably find a YouTube video on that. But we'll get to that in the future. But I tell you what we can do, Don.
What's that?
We can do the news.
The Humpday News?
The Humpday News.
Nice.
Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for the news.
The news. Yeah, well,
Maggie.
That happens a lot, actually.
Oh, Maggie. Oh, I mean, at least he's got someone to talk to.
You know.
I'm talking to myself all the time here in the studio. It's crazy. I'm cussing at myself. Oh, my God. What the hell?
The funny thing is I could screw up at work and I'd be the only one yelling at me because my boss don't talk to me either.
Oh, well, you know. All right. So we are going to do some news, and I got some really fantastic articles pulled up for your listening and viewing entertainment, hopefully. Hopefully both, but at least one of those. But maybe none. I don't know. I did the best. What the happy hell did I do?
You did the best you could.
I did, but I screwed all kinds of things up here. I don't even know how I did that.
Is that the best you could do?
No, I just popped. I
don't know.
It's like I popped a wheelie here. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't even know if that makes sense. But suddenly my screens are all like in grid form on my screen.
Yeah, you drug them over and you snapped them to the side.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Jesus, I hate that snap function. I didn't ask for it. That's what I hate about this stuff, Don. These technologies.
Yeah, can we go back in time and unsnap his screen, please? I mean, you know,
well,
Iron Man did it. Why not?
Why not? But anyway, that's what we're going to do is some news. And the first article up for your pleasure tonight is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. And it's man dies after taking caffeine equivalent to 200 cups of coffee.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
200 cups of coffee. What? How?
Have you ever seen anybody in caffeine psychosis?
No.
It's freaky.
You have seen that?
Yes.
Oh, no, I've never.
Oh, yeah. It was an Amway convention, and I was managing the hotel.
Oh, no.
And they have this, their equivalent of Monsters or, you know, whatever,
Sure.
Red Bulls. And this gal had been up drinking them all night, right?
Oh, dear God.
And her roommates are like, no, she's going to stay in the room. They left to go to the Amway thing.
Yeah.
And I had to call the ambulance because she was going nuts, tearing the room apart. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, this person didn't even get that lucky, Don. They didn't get help.
Yeah.
It says the unfortunate incident highlights the dangers of taking too much caffeine. According to reports, 29-year-old father of two, Tom Mansfield,
Oh, man, that sucks.
who hails from Colwyn Bay in Wales, had consumed a drink containing caffeine powder that was intended to aid fitness performance.
I bet it did.
The powder was obtained in a 100-gram bag, which was meant to be used in measurements of 60 to 300 micrograms.
Did he buy this out the window of a car?
I don't know. However, Mansfield inadvertently used a pair of scales that measured up to 5 kilograms. Resulting in him using exponentially more of the powder than intended. He quickly fell ill and had to be taken to a hospital where he sadly died a short time later.
Man, that sucks.
A post-mortem examination later revealed that his blood contained levels of caffeine equivalent to that of drinking 200 cups of coffee.
Wow, that
Oh
is
my
just
God.
absolutely insane.
The company which makes the powder has since taken steps to improve its labeling and measuring options.
That's wonderful.
How about capsules, maybe?
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe they should measure it out for us and just say, take this many capsules. Oh my God, that's tragic. So this guy just totally missed the scoop on that deal.
No, apparently he did miss the scoop.
He
should have missed the scoop.
He went right to the shovel. He missed the
Jesus,
scoop.
yeah.
200
Wow.
times the coffee. Wow. Well, that'll I guess do it. I didn't know. I guess I never really even thought about what does coffee do or caffeine. I mean, obviously it raises your blood pulse and
Yep.
stuff, but
Blood pressure goes through the roof.
Does it?
You actually go into psychosis.
yeah,
It's
I guess
crazy.
so. This is all news to me. I didn't know this, but pretty crazy stuff, folks.
Yeah.
Don't drink too much coffee.
Yeah, 5 kilograms is a lot of powder. Yeah, that's true. Thanks. Yeah, we know, Farm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, how could you drink that? How could
I don't know.
he measured 5 kilos and put it in a drink?
Well, I
You
think
can't put 5 kilos of
I don't know. I don't
you
know
can't
how.
put 5 kilos of mercury in a drink and not notice it.
Well, maybe. Wow, kilos is a bunch. I mean, that's a lot.
He weighed out 5 kilos. That's what it said. Did I miss something?
I don't know. I guess I really didn't understand how he got it. The powder is obtained in a 100-gram bag, which is meant to be used in 60 to 300 micrograms. He inadvertently used a pair of scales that measured up to 5 kilograms. Result. So he was doing grams instead of.
Yeah,
is
he
what
was
it looks
thinking
like.
that was 5 grams.
Yeah.
That can't be right though, unless he was.
No,
unless it said 0.00005 kilograms.
Maybe. Yeah.
It'd be 0.005.
He's like, man, this powder doesn't go too far.
But that's like a key. That's 5 keys of cocaine, for Christ's sakes. That's a lot of.
That's a lot of stupid. That's I mean, God bless the guy and his family. I'm so sorry to hear that, but man, that's one of those things. You should probably make sure you know what you're doing first. Read the labels, folks.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Nash says the scale measured kilograms, so he probably measured out grams. So
Yeah.
he probably measured out.
It was meant to be
600
micrograms.
Milligrams.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Or
yeah,
milligrams.
he probably did like 300 grams, not 300, or 60 grams would make more sense.
What do you mean?
But
15
that's still
spoons?
a lot. I mean, you
15
can't put that in this bottle of water and not have
You'd have
something the
sludge.
consistency of sludge.
Yeah. You'd have a Slurpee.
Oh, it wouldn't even be a Slurpee. It'd be like, how can you drink
I don't
this
know.
crap?
I don't know, folks, but apparently he couldn't, and he found that out the hard way.
He needs a shake straw.
No, he's all done needing anything.
That's true. Yeah, you got a point there.
His
Unfortunate
issues,
but true.
his issues are all done.
Father
So
too. That sucks.
it does. That's really tragic. I'm so sorry for that family. They're the ones that suffer, folks. All right, let's get to the next article, and this is.
Caffeine puts you to sleep. Aren't you just lucky there, Ghost Magnet?
You know, I have the same issue, though. After years and years and years and years and years of drinking Coca-Cola, I could down a Coke and go right to sleep and never had an issue.
Yeah, no.
But I think now it would be a little different.
I can't drink a beer and go to sleep. Yeah.
Well, you drink enough of them, you go to sleep.
Yeah.
This is feeling pretty tired.
Where's my bed?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
All right.
fella.
Next article from unexplained-mysteries.com is scientists could use Epsilon machine to hunt for alien life.
What the hell is an epsilon?
That's what we're going to find out, Don,
right.
because I don't know either. That's how well I researched these. The search.
Maggie says 1 beer makes me sleepy. I have 2. So I have to have two. Oh, okay. Yes.
The search for alien life in the universe is ramping up thanks to new, more powerful computers and techniques. According to reports, scientists at the California Institute of Technology have been working together with their counterparts at Sony Computer Science Laboratories in Tokyo to find new and improved methods for detecting signs of life on distant worlds using state-of-the-art computer solutions. Key to their efforts are Epsilon machines, which are designed, despite their name, are not actually machines at all, but complex mathematical algorithms that work by analyzing complexity. In the context of seeking out signs of alien life, these algorithms make it possible to identify complexity potentially indicative of life in data collected about extrasolar worlds. Since we don't know exactly what to look for, identifying general complexity rather than any scientific or specific chemical indicator could help to find life where other methods have failed. To test out these ideas, the researchers analyzed images of one place in the universe we know that is home to life, the Earth. Well, good start. And found that their algorithms were able to identify our home as approximately 50% more complex than any other planet in the solar system.
Wow.
Only 50, Don.
Wow.
We got to push that envelope.
Yeah.
Despite the challenges of data acquisition and processing, our analysis suggests that Earth's planetary complexity is higher than that of Jupiter. The present results are at least consistent with the hypothesis that planetary complexity correlates with. Once the James Webb Space Telescope starts making observations of distant extrasolar planets, it should be very interesting to see what the team will find.
That would be interesting.
It would be. Very curious. I guess they would have to be measuring light,
right,
and activities of light.
Right.
So that seemed plausible to me. Very cool.
Well, it makes sense,
Right.
So, awesome.
Yeah. We have lights. Maybe they do too.
Hopefully.
They seem to on their flying saucers and spaceships. I'm just saying. They seem to use light. All right, let's go to the next one. Interesting, more of a tidbit of technology leaping forward, as it were. But I don't know. Maybe we'll find something. I don't know. We find it, then what? That's the curious part.
Well,
what then?
We take it over, consume it, and burn it down. That's what we do.
Well, it's just getting there might be the problem for quite a while.
Well,
we'll see. I mean, there's of course the breakaway space program.
My words. You mark my words. You're lucky I can't be there tomorrow.
Yeah. Well.
You got time.
Yeah.
I'll be dead, but you'll have time.
All right, let's get to the next one, and this is unexplained-mysteries.com brings us Tyrannosaurus Rex may have actually been 3 dinosaurs, Don. I knew you'd love this one.
Oh, Sally.
New research suggests that what we know as a T-Rex might have actually been 3 distinct species of dinosaurs. Here's my problem with the fossil record, folks. Exhibit A. We'll call this Exhibit A.
Oh, no.
How long have we been? The fossil record tells us this and this and this. Well, it didn't manage to tell many people that this might be 3 dinosaurs instead of 1. I'm just saying. All right, so it says it's arguably one of the world's most famous dinosaur, a terrifying predatory behemoth of the prehistoric age that has since captured the imagination of people across the world. Now, though, scientists have made a discovery that could completely change how we see Tyrannosaurus Rex.
How about you flip that pelvis back over?
Turns out there's supposed to be flippers. Supposed to be flippers on there.
He's got gills.
Yeah, it's a water shark. By adding a whole new layer of complexity to its history. T-Rex, it is now believed, may have been 3 separate species of dinosaur rather than 1. Lead author Gregory Paul, who worked on the Jurassic Park movies, and colleagues looked at 37 fossil specimens and identified notable variations indicative of different species.
Gosh.
Yeah, hold on, got a cough.
Uh-oh. Didn't we just mention this a couple days ago? Maybe last week or something.
We did. You were talking about that hip bone or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The pelvis, yeah.
But I understand the temptation to divide T-Rex into different species because there is some variation in the fossil bones that we have, said Professor Steve Brusati from the University of Edinburgh.
You got to skip back up.
Oh, not everyone agrees with this conclusions.
One more.
They have named the 3 species Tyrannosaurus imperator, Tyrannosaurus rex, and Tyrannosaurus regina.
Huh.
Must be a girl. Where am I now? Where can I go now? Down here? Can I finish it?
Yeah, might as well.
But ultimately, to me, this variation is very minor and not indicative of meaningful biological separation of distinct species that can be defined based on clear, explicit, consistent differences. Well, there you go.
Well, here's the problem.
What?
Okay, so they've taken Sally and they've broke her down now into 3 different species, but we don't know how big one species was and how big the other species was. I mean, there's, you've got anteaters and giant anteaters. You've got lemurs and, you've got all these different subspecies that are different sizes, that are like completely, they're similar. They share DNA, but they're 2 different sizes. Could you imagine a giant trash panda? God, that'd be horrible. I don't know why that popped in my head.
I don't know.
A giant raccoon. But anyhow, the point is this, is how do they know which bones go to which of the 3? And then how do they know that the one is this big and the other is that big and weighed this and Sally's actually this and she should actually have feathers and wings and...
Maybe.
There's just no way. I mean,
know.
They can measure the femur and say, oh, well, this one's going to be, well, which one is that?
Yeah. Which one does that belong to?
Which one is that? You only have 2. You're talking about 3 different species.
See, what I don't understand is are they talking about various T-Rex skeletons that have been discovered and the variations between them, or are they talking about the variations of the bones in one of them? I don't understand what they're doing here.
37 specimens, so they've probably got they probably just janged it together, and now they're realizing that maybe these parts don't go. Which one of these things is not like the other?
It's just some kid with Legos. Yeah. Well, there you go, folks. We don't know. It turns out, and the fossil record didn't tell us, but maybe it's gonna. All right.
Rachel says 3 different T-Rex are actually 6 microraptors in a trench coat.
They're just standing on each other's shoulders. Wow, look at the skeletal complexity in this one.
Jeez.
They were just trying to get served.
Yeah. They need some recognition.
They might need some. All right, let's get to the next article, which is another fun-filled example of news that I managed to curate before the show. And this one is... from unexplained-mysteries.com. Excellent site. Please check it out. They do a great job over there. Support their work. Here's one for the record. I think there's somebody that maybe won more, but this one is man wins $10 million lottery jackpot twice in 3 years.
In 3 years. Can you imagine that?
That equals 20. He won 20. That's good for him in 3 years. That's a hell of a system he's got cooking there. You know what's coming next. The infomercial. I won the $10 million jackpot twice. And I'm going to show you how. Then he wins it a 3rd time just in orders.
And then all of a sudden, just send me $1 and I'll send you my... And then 50 million people send him $1.
And he goes and buys another lottery ticket and wins.
He doesn't need to. He just got another $50 million.
Yeah.
For free.
Well, he win 3 more times then maybe. As if the odds of winning once weren't high enough, one man has managed to defy them twice. Juan Hernandez of Uniondale in Nassau County purchased a New York Lottery $10 million deluxe scratch-off game card earlier this month. So it's even a scratch-off. That's even more...
Earlier this month, which was February.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about this, actually.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. In an attempt to win the top prize, incredibly, he found that he had done exactly that, scooping an enormous sum of sufficient to ensure that both he and his family would never go wanting for anything ever again.
So what does he do?
That's not true, though. Most of those idiots blow it in the first 3 years.
That's why he needed the other 2.
That's why he's still buying them.
Yeah, he's got to keep that habit going.
Daddy needs a new mortgage payment. Even more incredible, however, was the fact that this wasn't even the first time he'd won. Just 3 years prior, he won the $10 million jackpot from exactly the same type of scratch card.
Yeah.
That's definitely his game. The odds of this happening are truly mind-blowing. The chance of winning even once is roughly 1 in 3.52 million. According to Hernandez, he hasn't even figured out how to spend the first lot of prize money. Exactly what he'll do with another 10 million remains to be seen. Well, let's hope he does something good, like supports his local paranormal portal.
There's only one chapter of us.
Maybe he's a listener. I'm just saying. I'm going to put that out there. Daddy needs a new microphone.
I mean, the first thing, what would be the first thing you would do if you had $10 million?
I'd pay my bills. Just done.
My bills.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You would? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd just pay.
First thing I'd do is I'd set up a
trust or something?
Yeah, a trust.
Yeah, that'd be smart.
Put an LLC and then have the LLC run a trust.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd probably set up some way to claim it because I imagine I'd have tons of friends if I want it. Mm-hmm. So I'd set up some kind of...
would you tell your family?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose I would. Sure. I mean,
like after 3 years, I've got a secret.
Yeah, that's right. Remember how I told you I was in the hospital? Well, really, I was in the Bahamas. So just totally being a jerk.
Android says I won 10,000 from a scratch off at 20 years old. I blew it in less than a month.
Oh, I can believe it. Yeah.
Let's say too much partying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have 5 grams of caffeine by any chance?
Or grams of something else?
He's partying it up.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm saying, 10 grand today really isn't that much. It's really not a lot of money. Back in the days,
right?
That was a lot of money, but 10 grand. But it can get you ahead of the flood a little bit. Yeah. Usually, that's a good sum of money. Congratulations, Android. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, well yeah. He says it's not really as much as it seems. No, because I blew 10,000 this year or last year.
This month. This year.
I'm like, oh boy, just gonna screw that one off, didn't I?
Well, it happens. It happens, folks. But money's meant to be enjoyed, I figure. Some people love money for money's sake, but I just think it's a tool. It's like a hammer. You can love a hammer, but it's probably not going to do you a lot of good. Just take care of your hammer so you can build stuff when you want to.
Just remember that not everything's a nail.
That's true. Yeah, for problem solving, just remember. That's true. Everything's not a nail.
Excuse me, that's a screw. Yeah, I'm screwed, all right.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's go to the next one, and this is another one from unexplained-mysteries.com, and this one is kind of weird.
Femcat says he needed the first 10 to pay the taxes for the second 10.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no kidding. That's probably true. This is another one from unexplained-mysteries.com. This is Warp Road caused by mystery underground movements. The mole people are coming, folks. Yeah. That's got to be it.
There you go.
Could be the mole people.
It's yeah.
Look at that. Look at that picture. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's some real mysterious underground movements.
And the world burped.
Yeah. Wow. Ripped up road left warped after mystery. Huh. All right. So let's see what this says. A road in the UK has become so warped that parts of it are now sitting at a 45-degree angle. They're now kids jumping bikes on it.
Yeah.
It's called a ramp.
It's a skate park now.
Yeah. You know what that's called is the lowest bidder right there. Mm-hmm. That's called government work.
Yep. Good enough.
The anomalous damage, which has been reported on the B4069 near Lyneham in Wiltshire, England, has recently become the focus of a mystery that has left local authorities scratching their heads. What?
Rachel says it's graboids.
Graboids, yeah. Yeah. At a glance, the stretch of tarmac could easily be mistaken for the site of a major earthquake, or X Games, maybe. But with the road twisted and broken as if it were the aftermath of some geological catastrophe. In reality, however, no earthquake has occurred. Instead, local authorities have blamed the damage on unexplained underground movements. Well, that's not even better.
Obviously.
Where an earthquake is an explained underground movement, this is the unexplained underground movements, folks. It's a whole different animal.
Like an ass blaster.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell does that mean? It could cost hundreds of thousands or up into the millions to repair the damage, said Dr. Mark McClelland of Wiltshire Council. There's a significant damage to the road. It could be up to 12 months in total. Well, the way road construction goes, sure. Could be 3 years. It's not something that can be resolved in a matter of days or weeks.
Call Juan, he'll pay for it.
Yeah. The underlying ground has slipped, and we need to understand why that has happened. Incredibly, some motorists have continued to navigate the road despite police warnings.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's...
they can't. I've seen condemned roads. They can't condemn the road.
Oh.
I mean, come on.
An investigation by geotechnical specialists is currently underway.
Wow.
That is some serious road rippage, though.
Yep, that's true.
You can tell I've been modeling stuff all day on the CGI stuff because I wanted to click and spin it so I could see it from the side. I'm totally in a different place.
Yeah,
no, I know. I remember now. I remember which world I'm in now, Don.
So, Rachel says she was walking on the sidewalk when it bucked on a very hot summer day. Felt like I was floating until I wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
So, we have that earthquake. We've had 2 earthquakes since 2015.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And the first one I didn't even notice. The second one, the only reason I noticed it was because I was standing on 1 foot at the time. I had my arms propped up like this between like cubicles, and I was standing on 1 foot at the time. And all of a sudden I just kind of like went like this.
Ooh.
And I'm like, that was an earthquake. And sure enough, it was a 4.2.
Yeah, the one that was earlier was like a 2.6, right? It was smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I felt them both.
But the funny thing is that's the first time. I was walking in downtown Seattle in like 94, 95, when they had that earthquake. I was walking down the road during an earthquake and didn't even notice it.
Why didn't you notice it?
I really have no clue. I was not. I was in all of my mind.
Was you?
Yes,
okay.
I was. I just didn't notice it. People were like, hey, what's going on? And then a brick falls off a building. I'm like,
ooh,
I'm out of here.
Yikes, that's scary.
What the hell's that? We just had an earthquake. What?
Wow.
I am so not sensitive to earthquakes.
Yeah, I felt the first one. It was in that chair upstairs, and it felt like somebody grabbed the back of it and shook it. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then it was my wife that went, earthquake. Well, she's from Indonesia. They got a lot of them down there.
She's on.
She knew right away what it was and got freaked. But I didn't have any clue. I just thought, I thought somebody shook my chair.
Was that a train?
Yeah, well, we do get a little
haunted again.
Yeah, well, that was what I first thought. I was like, oh, wait, oh, but it was not that.
No, weird.
Crazy stuff, folks. All right, I got one more news story for you tonight.
One more news.
One more little slice of news for you before we jump off into something else here on the Paranormal Portal. And this is... I remember this one. I think it's important if you're an Olympic athlete in the Winter Games that you make sure that you're wearing enough layers. I think layers are the key here, folks. However, some people don't. I guess they don't want to encumber the extra weight of maybe long johns or something. But here's a story from unexplainedmysteries.com. Olympic skiing and hazards of a frozen member. Finnish cross-country skier Remi Lindholm recently reported that an unfortunate part of his anatomy had frozen during an event. Yeah, they're not supposed to do it naked, dude. The Olympics has concluded with almost 3,000 athletes showcasing their skills to the world. While slips, trips, and falls are common on the ice and snow, causing embarrassment and injury, spare a thought for Finnish cross-country skier Remi Lindholm, who revealed after competing in the 50-kilometer skiing event that his junk had frozen during the competition.
The junk in the front.
Because of extreme weather in Beijing, officials reduced the race to 30 kilometers, and the start was delayed by an hour because of high winds, with the air temp of negative 16 Celsius. Oof. And the wind chill causing it to drop into the minus 20s. Cross-country skiers only wear very light clothing for the event, so frostbite is a real risk. Indeed, Lindholm suffered from frostbite to his part. Oh no, that poor guy. Of his anatomy in Ruka, Finland last year. Frostbite occurs when exposed skin is subject to temperatures below 0 Celsius, and the body has an automatic response to cold, and one changes to undergo vasoconstriction, where blood vessels in the cold area of skin narrow to prevent blood flowing into the cold area and returning to the body, where it can cause cooler temperatures in and around the vital organs and lead to hypothermia.
Yeah, that would be called a vital organ.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
It should be updated.
Yeah.
We should update that firmware. Thank you.
Oh,
the body is programmed to keep the core of our body at 37 Celsius for optimal function. The vasoconstriction also prevents ice crystals from forming in the blood and tissues when they drop to -4 degrees Celsius or below and begin to destroy the tissue structure.
Ouch.
Ouch. That poor guy. Oof. What happens next? Is he okay?
Quick, caller in above it.
Oh, yeah, we got a caller.
Oh, we do have a call.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were referring to at first.
No, but
Caller.
Yep, caller.
Yep, we got
Caller.
a caller.
Hey.
Let's get to the call.
Yay, haven't had
So-
a caller in a while.
There it is.
Yep, all right.
And let's get to the call. Let me get out of the news, though, first, because that concludes tonight's news.
Done
So
news.
let's
Bye-bye
get
news.
back to the
Thank you
scheduled
for the
program.
news. Yeah, just an extra pair of underwear.
I know, it's like-
Just something.
It's one of those times where the tube sock in your pants might have been a good thing. I'm just saying. All right, let's get to the call. And this is area code 410. Is this you, Android?
Yeah, it's me. How you guys doing?
Good, brother. How you doing?
No.
Pretty good, pretty good. With all that earthquake talk, I thought I'd call in and tell my earthquake story. It's not really exactly paranormal, I guess. Well, it's a little paranormal, actually, because it
Sure.
happened on the East Coast, which is pretty much unusual.
Absolutely. By all means, let us know.
It was, I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it was like 10 years ago. There was like a pretty freak earthquake that happened in the Virginia, D.C. area about 10 years ago, and it was pretty intense. It wasn't like anything like super crazy, but it was like, I think it was like a 5.6, which is like pretty huge for, East Coast. I think it was like second biggest earthquake ever recorded in over 100 years on the East Coast or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
And, the epicenter from where I live was like, it was kind of far. It was probably almost 100 miles away. It was like northern Virginia in the middle of nowhere somewhere. But, I live in central Maryland, and it was like about 10 years ago, I think. And I had just woken up, and I was laying there, and it was like, I don't know, maybe like 1 in the afternoon. And that's when I had like maybe 12:30, something like that. And I had worked evenings at a hotel. So I was about to get ready for work. I'd literally woken up like 10 minutes before, and I'm just laying there looking at my ceiling fan laying there, and I noticed like it's swinging, and I'm like, am I seeing stuff? Like, because I didn't even know that my fan on the ceiling could swing, and so I was confused. And then some papers over on my dresser had started just falling off, and I'm like, I sat up and I was like, what is going on? Yeah. And I didn't feel anything, but obviously something was going on, and then I just stood up, on the floor, and then that's when I realized the floor was like swaying back and forth. Wow. And my TV was like, it was like a flat panel TV, a small one, and it was swinging back and forth on its stand, and I'm like, oh my God. And earthquake was not the first thing that came to my mind. We live like less than 50 miles from DC, so I was like, oh my God, somebody nuked DC. I literally, that was the first thought that came to my head. Yeah. And I ran into my parents' room. This back when I lived with my parents, and they had one of these dressers that had like all these, the handles that hang off, like they swing, like kind of like an antique dresser, and they were all swinging it in sync with each other and tapping, tick, 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 tick. And I'm like, oh my God. Wow. No one else was home. I don't know where, the rest of my family was. And so I was like, because I was going in there to try and help them get out because, my mom had a bad knee. And so when I realized they weren't there, I started running down the stairs. And I guess at this point it had been maybe about a minute since it started, maybe less. Okay. And by the time I got downstairs, it had stopped. And I was like, should I still go outside or should I, and then after that, it was done. I tried to call, my parents after that, and nobody could get through the phone lines because I think everybody was trying to call the cell phone tower at the same time. The phone lines were down, and it was pretty insane. it was intense, and I think what made it worse than a lot of people said they barely felt it. But I guess it just depends on where you were. But I was in a house that had a wood frame, so it was swaying like pretty majorly. But I talked to some people who were at like office buildings and stuff, and like they said they barely felt it, but they heard like a lot of banging and popping because I guess the steel structure of that building was cracking or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty intense.
That is really intense. Back when the big wave happened in Japan, the tsunami as a result of the huge earthquake offshore over there was about, I don't know, a few days, maybe it was a day or two before that, and my equilibrium was all off.
Really?
Yeah, I was having a hell of a time, and I remember thinking, "What's going on? Is there something wrong with me?" And then that big earthquake happened, and then I felt fine. It was just like, whatever, and I read about it a little bit, and apparently the subsonic waves can cause
ultra low frequency.
Yeah.
People are very, very
susceptible to it.
Remember the movie Phenomena with
yes.
Yeah, and he predicted those,
Yep.
and then like days later it happened. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently that's a precursor to that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I never felt the one coming here
Right.
that happened, so it was really weird. But you didn't feel anything prior to this, Android?
No, I didn't feel anything. It was just totally out of the blue. But one weird thing about that is that they never really, I don't think, figured out what caused it. It just happened.
Sure.
They found like the epicenter was like in some small town in northern Virginia, and they never found out what caused it. It does kind of make you wonder, like, what would cause a random earthquake like that? Out away from like a fault center,
Fracking.
out of nowhere. Kind of makes you wonder what's going on,
What?
I just popped the thing. But fracking will do it.
Yeah, it could be. Is there any fracking over in your area?
I don't think, not in that area. I think there is some in Pennsylvania, but not near that not near that area of Virginia, to my knowledge.
Right.
But
Wow.
yeah, it's definitely a weird occurrence because 5.6. It's not a small earthquake. Yeah, I've seen those fracking earthquakes. They can give like 3.0, maybe 3.5, maybe even 4.0. But this was like a 5.6, and there was no fracking around there, to my knowledge. But now that you mentioned the feeling thing, I had an MRI recently, several months ago, and they're like, you shouldn't feel anything. It's just just going to scan you. And when I had gotten in there, they tell you, keep your eyes open or keep your eyes closed. But I said, I'm gonna keep my eyes closed. All you're doing is looking at a plastic tube. So I had kept my eyes closed, and I realized while I'm laying in there, I swear I could feel like waves of energy coming over my body. It was like a tingling heat feeling
Cool.
coming over my body. And I'm like, it just made me wonder, like, is this something everybody feels, or, can certain people only feel this, or, because, they use the EMF detector, electromagnetic frequencies, to detect paranormal activity. And I guess that's technically what an MRI is. It's magnetic fields.
Sure.
So it really got me thinking about that, actually.
Yeah, that's wild. Maybe you could just be sensitive to those kind of things, and maybe you're a human ghost detector.
Huh?
Yeah, I remember first time I called in and told you about some of those stories. You were like, maybe things are attracted to you, and it's still something I need to explore. I think I'm probably an empath. I don't think I'm a medium or anything like that, but
sure.
I still have to explore that further. I think I could be sensitive potentially because I've never really been to many areas where I could really test that out. I don't think.
Sure. No, I think there's merit to that for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, brother, thanks for calling in and sharing your story with us. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's weird stuff happening in this world, but sometimes it's not always paranormal.
That's true. Yeah.
Dang it.
It happens.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself.
All right, guys.
All right.
Have a good one.
See you now. Very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Love getting some phone calls, and
Yeah,
keep
I
that in
know.
mind, ladies and gentlemen. The phones are open if you want to call.
I have no. It has to be obvious to me. It has to be an obvious,
Like standing on one leg.
like standing on one leg, and all of a sudden you're doing this. You're like,
Sure.
what the hell's that?
Yeah.
And I went. The only thing that popped in my head was, it can't be an earthquake.
You
Sure
know, it was an
enough, it was
earthquake.
like a 4.3 or something like
Where
that.
was the epicenter of that one, by the way? Was it close? Because I know the
No,
one
that
that
one
I
was
felt.
Yellowstone.
Oh.
It came up from Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, it was over in that area of
right,
south.
Montana, yeah.
The one that first one that I said felt like my chair being shook.
That was in the middle
right
of
out in the lake. Yeah. So it was only a few kilometers away, maybe a couple kilometers away.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So it was plenty close, but never. It's an extinct fault that's out here. That apparently is not so extinct anymore.
It's just a fault.
Yeah, it's just a fault now. So whatever that means, if there's more coming, I don't know. I always hear people talking about the super volcano and Yellowstone.
Oh yeah, we'll be dead. That's okay.
Yeah,
Don't even worry about it.
It's a possibility. We're kind of in the fringe.
It's a possibility.
Well, because the drift would be, the ash would drift to the east according to the jet stream, but I don't know if the explosion would take us out. That's the part I think could happen. But anyway, I don't know. What do you do? What do you do, folks? Can't live afraid.
Nope.
Can't live afraid. All right, so let's get to some of the other paranormal fun that we've got lined up for y'all tonight.
I was reading somewhere that I think it's asparagus. Asparagus has enough in it, like iodide, that it can actually fight radiation poisoning.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know why I brought that up.
I don't know either.
I'll have to remember. It was
maybe the
asparagus?
Fukushima thing. I don't know. I was talking about the tsunami.
Maybe.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I think there's a lot of cures in our natural world that we don't know about that our ancestors did. But let's talk about some paranormals, shall we?
Some paranormals.
That's right. And we're going to go to an article from boredomtherapy.com. And this is astronauts expose the most shocking sights witnessed in space.
Rachel's so positive.
What did she say?
So imagine the beautiful sunsets as the world. Never mind.
Jeez.
I just got done watching The Stand too.
Oh yeah.
I watched the miniseries. It was pretty good.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He blew himself up with a nuclear warhead. It was awesome.
I watched Godzilla and that happened too.
Oh,
But
there you go. Yeah.
Well, at least
Godzilla!
Gojira. It was the one versus Ghidorah, the King Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon.
So it was
one.
an old one.
No, the new remake.
Oh, I haven't seen them.
It was good. You should check it out.
Eh,
I like them, Don. I like the updated graphics and stuff. They're fun.
nice.
All right, so this is an article. Astronauts expose the most shocking sights witnessed in space.
Nice. Okay.
Some of these may just be odd, may be weird. Some of them may be UFOs, something else. Now, whatever they are, we're going to explore them. Number one is the ghostly green lights. Who wrote this? Oh, this is by Bianca Piazza. I don't know how you pronounce the last name. She's a boredom therapy staff, so let's check out her work. She's talking about number one, the ghostly green light. Many astronauts have encountered similar unexplained phenomena while in orbit. Back in 1963, Leroy Gordon Cooper. Wow, they must have knocked the Leroy off of there. I always knew him as Gordon Cooper. Jr. became one of the first Americans to venture out into space, but when he got back to Earth, it wasn't what he'd done that brought him notoriety. Rather, it was what he saw. Wow, that's a very brief...
And it doesn't even say what he saw.
I guess
awesome.
It's a ghostly green light, but that's... Bianca, you kind of missed part of that article.
It's just like cliffhanger. Space hanger.
Yeah, pay to read more. Is it one of those?
Yeah, no
Click to read more. Unexplained apparition is another one. Cooper, I guess this is what he saw. Okay. This is really awkward. I'm not sure how they
I thought it
built
was
this.
an aggregate. It's not an aggregate.
No, okay. Unexplained apparition is what he saw. Cooper reportedly claimed to have observed a circular object emitting green light speeding towards his ship. Fortunately, it didn't make any contact, but what was it? To this day, the apparition remains unexplained. UFO. No. Mystery solved. UFO. Malaya says... Much love. Hope everyone in the Portal fam is keeping healthy and doing marvelous. Thank you, Malaya. Appreciate that. We hope you are as well. And thanks for coming in and watching the show.
It's Malia.
Sorry. I come from Minnesota. It's a small world over there. Not real worldly, so forgive me. All right. Number two, next thing, because that was what he saw.
Okay, cool.
I didn't know he was famous for that. I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
I don't remember it either.
Number two, clouds of smoke. In 2004, Russian news website Pravda RU published some eye-catching claims from the cosmonaut Vladimir Kolyolov,
Oh my!
I think. Speaking of being in Minnesota,
don't get us a tick for you know current events and stuff, would you?
Yeah, he had spent a total of 217 days in space, including time aboard Soviet Union space stations. Stations? How many they got? The astronaut told the news website, when I was working at the Salyut orbital station, I saw something strange in a portal one day. Sorry.
Porthole, not a portal. Porthole.
No. I was just thinking, for some reason, a toilet popped into my mind. It's like, yeah, I've seen something strange in my portal, too.
Oh, boy.
The object was the size of a finger. It was... Now, right there, you want to know how my mind works?
Lorena Bobbitt.
No, well, I'm thinking of that guy cross-country skiing. He's got yeah, that's exactly. I guess you're broken just like me, Don. We got very similar breaks, I think. He said that it was looking at the object was the size of a finger, and I was surprised to see it was an orbiting object. It was hard to determine the size and speed of an object in space. UFO explosion. Kolyolganov continued. Just go Kolyolganov. Or
can you just say the cosmonaut?
The cosmonaut continued. Yeah, I should work on pronunciations a little before the show. Sorry, folks. You get my unedited self. That is why I cannot say exactly what size it actually was. My colleague, the other cosmonaut, prepared to take a picture of it, but the UFO suddenly exploded. The only clouds of smoke were left. The object split into two interconnected pieces.
Wow.
It was reminiscent of a dumbbell, and the cosmonaut was certain of what he'd seen, adding it was probably a UFO, but it was definitely not mysticism. Two people watched it at the same time. That's good. I guess if you're going to see something like that, you don't want to be seeing it alone.
Yeah.
Especially when you're an astronaut.
Right, yeah, exactly. You got backup.
Yeah, you want someone else to see that, because if you're the only one seeing it, you used to be an astronaut.
So, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, hey, real quick, Malaya, both are right, but Kevby always said it with the I in Scottish, if that makes sense. Kind of running joke over there at KBS. So, yep, Kev's still messing with you. Good deal. We that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Boy.
All right. So number 3 on this list is knock knock. Who's there?
Not me.
This is from space. Who the hell's knocking at all?
Tardigrades. Let us in. It's cold out here.
Amway. In 2003, Yang Liwell became the first astronaut to travel into space under the auspices of the Chinese space program. A former fighter pilot, Yang was selected as a prospective astronaut in 1998, and after years of training, finally got his chance to blast off into space aboard the Shenzhou 5 spacecraft. Blasted into space by a Long March 2F rocket in October 2003, he succeeded in orbiting the Earth 14 times. Wow, very cool. He said orbiting, didn't he?
Yep.
He didn't say he was... Never mind. There's no sound in space, but something strange happened during Yang's flight. In 2016 article, the BBC quoted him as saying that he heard someone knocking the body of the spaceship just as knocking an iron bucket with a wooden hammer. Apparently, this sound neither came from outside nor inside the spaceship. Yang even peeked out of his capsule window, but saw nothing. And it's all the more mysterious since, because of the physical properties of space, the only sound you should hear is its silence. Well, yeah, but if he's inside, there's oxygen in there, right? Or was it was the only oxygen in his spacesuit?
Oh, was it decompressurized at the time?
Yeah, maybe.
That's interesting though, because structural weakening creates a knocking
pinging
noise,
and
a pinging and yang and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
we're still going to get demonetized.
I'm going to leave that one alone too. But that would account for some kind of knocking sound, because how many times have you heard, like, I don't know, so you got something in the oven, right? It's 500 degrees. You pull it out, you throw it in the sink, it goes crack, 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 crack.
Sure. Or when you put something in the oven and your pan is warped at all, and then it pops.
Yeah, and then it pops.
Once it heats up,
exactly,
and throws your fish sticks all over the place. Not that that's necessarily happened to me, but it might have happened to me. You fry your fish sticks?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I fry my fish sticks right next to my tater tots.
Okay. Well, number 4, was it a UFO? The Soviet Union space program selected Musa Manarov. I got that one.
Hey.
As a cosmonaut in 1978. However, he had to wait another 9 years for his chance to get into space. His big day came in 1987 when he flew aboard the Soyuz TM-4 to the Soviets' Mir space station, classed as... Sorry. Take it away, Don.
Take it away. Hey. Hi, how are you? I wish I had like a computer I could read. Yeah, I can actually read it. So, classed as a flight engineer, Manonov spent almost 366 days in space. In 1990, he returned to space for a mission lasting 175 days on Mir. On the first mission, Manarov and his colleague Vladimir Titov, that's what it says, also became the first men to spend over a year in space. So what was it they saw, though?
Well, let's find out. I'll scroll down.
I mean, there it is. Space psychosis.
There it is.
I'm using that word a lot tonight, but space got psychosis. That'll do it.
Sure. Go ahead.
But there was a factor apart from the year in space that distinguished Manonov. During the second mission in 1991, you see, Manonov was filming the docking of a spaceship that had traveled to the Mir. On camera, he caught a strange object, and you can still see the film online today. The cosmonaut quoted in Shane McMahon's 2016 book, Conspiracies and the Solar Secret, as saying, "It's possible it was some kind of a UFO. We can't say with any certainty what it was." Yeah, a spaceship, just some kind of spaceship out of the blue, or he was videotaping the spaceship docking with the Mir and caught something else, a strange object. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
wow.
It's called the Black Knight.
Yeah, it might have been the Black Knight. Yeah. Could be. That's pretty creepy. Number 5, what did this astronaut see? Not only is Christopher Cassidy an astronaut, but he's also a U.S. Navy SEAL. Oh, nice. Yeah. So he's a man of formidable qualities. And he first ventured into space aboard NASA's space shuttle in 2009 when the shuttle docked with the International Space Station. On that 16-day mission, Cassidy became the 500th astronaut in space, and he performed 3 walks there, but it was on his second mission to space in 2013 that he hit world headlines. Cassidy said he'd been seen an unidentified object floating past the station when he'd looked through one of the International Space Station's portholes. He reported this weird apparition to Mission Control, too. It was a puzzle, but not for long. In August 2013, NASA reported the object has been identified by Russian flight controllers as an antenna cover from the Zvezda service module. Even so, there are still those convinced that Cassidy had seen a UFO.
It was just a thermal blanket that ripped off.
Yeah, they're always dropping stuff off in space. It's like baling wire and duct tape is what they put these things together with, Don.
Well, if you never mind.
Snakes in space, Story Musgrave. Dr. Story Musgrave was no ordinary astronaut back in the day. For a start, he has 6 academic degrees and is the highest qualified man to have entered space. 6, it seems, is a favored number for the man, since he's also had 6 space flights, one of the few astronauts to achieve that feat. But what's truly fascinating about Musgrave is that what he's claimed to have seen when he was in space. Sorry. Creatures out there. In 1994 interview, still available on YouTube, Musgrave says, "On 2 of my missions, and I still don't have an answer, I've seen a snake out there. 6, 7, 8 feet long, and it's rubbery because it has internal waves in it, and it follows you for a rather long time. The more you fly in space, the more you see an incredible amount of things out there, and this sort of thing brings to you really a certainty that other living creatures are out there. But you can only make of that what you will."
No, it's just the loneliness and the silence of space drives you crazy, and you start to hallucinate, and you have space psychosis.
Well,
stop drinking the caffeine.
There are tardigrades. Those are the little
Yeah,
microscopic
on
things.
the outside of the portholes.
Right. Yeah, they were living on the windows and stuff
exactly.
outside on the space side.
Kind of like bed bugs.
But is it possible there could be other complex organisms out there? I think it is. I think it really is.
Space
I think.
snakes, though.
Well, I don't know if I think it's just more of a term of description rather than
danger noodle.
Right, it's a danger noodle. It's a space danger noodle, Don. But I don't think it's beyond possibility that there are organisms that possibly live in the upper atmosphere.
And that would make sense that they would be in that shape.
Right. It
long,
seems like it's
cylindrical,
efficient. Yeah. Seems like it would be
flexible.
efficient.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense. That's true.
Right. Now, in the vacuum of space, I don't know. I guess it's possible. Again, we know so little about this stuff. We've looked out through windows of our planet into the expanses of space, and we think that we got this all nailed, but we don't.
And space stared back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, did you see the Hubble picture? That one of the first times looks like God's eye looking back. Like, what are you doing?
That's what it's called too.
Focus on what you're doing. Quit looking out here.
You better take care of yours first.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't find that even incredible. I think it would be incredible, but I don't find it beyond reason that there could be organisms that have developed differently and can live and survive. The tardigrades can in a small microstructure, so why couldn't there be macroorganisms that also adapted in the same ways?
Like giant tardigrades.
Yeah, they're kind of cute though. They're cute little things, whatever they are. Yeah. All right, number 7, the gray space station that turned orange. Oh, former Italian airspace pilot Samantha Cristoforetti was the first from her nation to journey into space. Fittingly, for an Italian, she was also the first astronaut to brew an espresso in space. Oh, jeez.
Well, you got to have your comforts.
How degrading would that be? Hey, when you're up there, since you're a woman, you want to make some coffee? Jeez. Oh, my God.
And by the way, there's some sandwich makings in there too.
Get your shoes off. What are you doing? I mean, it's just like the worst possible. You don't have a woman cook in space, for God's sakes, even if it is just a coffee. Ah, stereotypes. Anyway, I get all verklempt. Anyway, so she brewed an espresso in space, and on November 2014, she was boarding the Soyuz TMA-15M with 2 colleagues bound for the International Space Station. And it was her ship approaching the station that she reportedly spotted something extremely weird. And the mystery is solved, it says Don. So let's see what it is. If you look at the photograph of the space station, you'll see that it's predominantly a silver gray color, but Cristoforetti saw something altogether different. To her, the station was a vivid orange color. Where's the space station?
Not there.
It says it. Okay. Anyway, it was. As she wrote in a blog post, the enormous solar panels were inundated with a blaze of orange light. Vivid, warm, almost alien, yet this was a mystery that was later solved. It's a rarely seen phenomenon, but when the sun hits the space station solar panels in a particular way, an orange hue is cast over the structure.
That's just one of those pat answers.
Sure it is, but it could be legit. I don't know.
It could be synesthesia, for Christ's sakes.
Synesthesia?
Synesthesia.
What is that?
People who see colors when they hear words, or they in 2 colors when they smell something. It's synesthesia. There's like 78 different types of synesthesia.
That is like 4 more syllables than I often think they're capable of. It's like, where did that come from? Who are you? What have you done with Don?
God, he flipped out one of those $5 words again. Dang it!
Got a wallet full of them. Number 8, space makes you taller.
Yeah.
Decompression. Yeah, I suppose not being sucked down by gravity would help. It seems unlikely, but it turns out to be true. Yeah. Astronauts who spend time on the orbiting International Space Station end up taller than when they left the Earth. NASA reckons that a 6-month spell in the space station results on average in a 3% height gain. Wow. However, an astronaut's height increase disappears once he or she gets back home. You want to read this one?
Sure.
You
want to scroll back up? Measuring mistake. One astronaut appeared to break all records when he came to a height gain. In a January 2018 tweet, Japanese national Kanai I'm just going to go with that, announced that he had gained around 3.5 inches just after 3 weeks on the space station. That really would have been something, but shortly afterwards, he sheepishly withdrew his claim, blaming an error in a measuring error. He corrected the amount of his height gain to less than an inch.
Oh.
He thought he was a lucky fella. I gained 3 inches.
I'm giant. Never mind. All right.
Taking applications for dates.
Number 9, alien bacteria. A Russian cosmonaut made a startling claim about something he'd found in space in 2017. Anton Shkroporov made his announcement after his second visit to the International Space Station, and what he said caused quite a stir in the world of space travel, although NASA remained tight-lipped in response. Not from Earth, Shkroporov said... Sorry. It's like I'm falling downstairs.
Murder.
Told the Russian news agency TASS in November 2017 that bacteria discovered on the exterior of the space station was of extraterrestrial origin.
Right.
He explained, and now it turns out that somehow these swabs reveal bacteria that were absent during the launch of the ISS module. And that is, they have come from outer space and settled along the external surface. Sounds more than a little scary, but thankfully the Russian added that the bacteria pose no danger. Okay. Oh, all right. Well, good. That's good. I don't know.
It'd be hell. They come back and they go, we brought back space herpes.
We have dubbed them Russian crotch crickets. I don't know, folks. I didn't write these. Number 10, it's all in the genes.
Yeah, it'd be in the genes.
Identical twin brothers Mark and Scott Kelly have spent lifetimes duplicating each other's achievements. Right. Both were captains in the U.S. Navy, for instance. Both have spent time in the International Space Station, but when NASA conducted an experiment that involved monitoring the twins' DNA while Scott was aboard the space station and Mark was on Earth, the results were extraordinary. Different DNA. Scott arrived back on Earth in March 2016 after 340 days on the space station, yet the results of NASA's monitoring of him and his brother showed that Scott's DNA was now markedly different. British newspaper The Daily Telegraph quoted Scott's reaction. What? My DNA changed by 7%? Who knew? I no longer have to call Mark my identical twin brother anymore. NASA's work on understanding what happens to the human body and its DNA in space continues.
Yeah, they've been reported on several times, and I believe, they've been reported on several times, and you can look at them and see that they're not, are they identical? They aren't now,
Apparently they were, but I think this guy likes the easy life a little more now.
The easy life.
Yeah.
Are you referring to his large head?
He's a little girthier than this guy. I think this guy's still working out, and this guy kind of phones it in now. He phones it into Domino's instead.
Jeez.
I don't know. Very strange. Number 11, towering ship. Here's a UFO. Even everyday people have witnessed strange space phenomena from Earth, and on a January morning in Lebanon, Illinois, police officer Ed Barton encountered a gigantic triangular object with a light on each corner hovering some 1,500 feet overhead.
How the hell would he know?
I don't know. He's pretty good at that, I guess. Other Illinois residents saw it too, recounting it was perhaps 3 stories long and resembled a house, but there were big windows about 2.5 feet wide and 5 or 6 feet high, 2 stories, and one on top of the other. Wow.
At 1,500 feet.
At 1,500 feet. That's a hell of a observation. The nearby Scott Air Force Base claimed that its radar had been off at the time of the incident. Yeah,
of course.
Of course it was. Sure it was. Like it was off. You didn't need it that day. Though a highly reliable source later told New Force that the Air National Guard jets may have been scrambled to take a look at the object. Some even revealed that government employees had visited local police departments and witnesses to ask them to curtail all their statements to the press.
Gee. Curtail their statements.
Right. Here's another one. It looks like a triangle here. While standing on his front step, a Wenatchee, Washington man.
Wenatchee.
I know, but it's not like I'm from there. You should.
Wenatchee.
Wenatchee. I'm sure I'm pronouncing more than Wenatchee wrong, by the way. But
Sure.
but all right. Wenatchee, Washington man watched as a silver triangular craft slowly glided over the tops of a cluster of 150-foot tall poplar trees. His fascination, however, turned to terror as the man realized the ship was on a crash course for nearby Birch Mountain. But instead of striking the mountain, the craft simply disappeared into thin air. New Force later confirmed this man's reliability as a witness. We know this witness and have spoken to him on several occasions. He formerly served in the U.S. military and held high security clearance.
Wow.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. That's over in Spokane, Washington.
Spokane?
Oh, boy.
All right. Number 13, The Collector. On a summer night in Sunnyvale, California in 1971, two teenage girls snuck off out of their homes at around 10 p.m. to meet up. And as they walked their neighborhood, they suddenly froze when they spotted a large silent ship with great enormous arms on the sides that slowly swiveled around. The lines on the ends, like ropes, but they weren't ropes. It was no weather balloon. The girls had the distinct impression that the ship was collecting things as it drifted from one home to the next, though they fled in terror as the craft soon turned its attention on them. Those they later told of the incident wrote the whole thing off as a run-in with a weather balloon, but according to one girl, if I'm sure of anything, it is that thing was no weather balloon.
Scroll back up for a sec.
Sure.
Keep going.
Okay.
So, no, right here. Giant, enormous arms on the sides. So, a large, silent ship going from house to house.
Yep.
How large was this ship?
I don't know. We don't get any specifics, but I mean, it was big.
The Collector, yeah. Huh.
But it looked like it was collecting stuff.
Well, I mean, even if it's 10 o'clock at night in 1971,
Yeah.
well, that was 51 years ago. But still, it was Sunnyvale, California.
Yeah.
There's probably 1,000 people out there.
Yeah. You'd think.
You know.
Well, whatever it was collecting stuff.
It was
But it was a weather balloon, Don.
It was a weather balloon collecting stuff, yes.
Absolutely. They happen.
Yeah.
Number 14, the ghost beam. While driving home from a concert in Pittsburgh, three friends spotted a very bright beam of light sweeping across the road and ahead and the area around them. The two of the friends exited the vehicle, expecting to catch a glimpse of a search and rescue helicopter, though they soon discovered there was no hint of any craft or body emitting the beam, even when it faced away from us. But as soon as the beam neared their car, it darted off. And as they resumed their trip, the radio began playing static before cutting out completely. We heard a commentator say, "Further evidence that there is life on Mars." And then it went back to static, one witness recalled. Wow.
Huh.
That's not what you want to hear on your radio when
Not really.
you're trying to stay away from UFOs. The Phoenix Lights, of course, dubbed perhaps the most dramatic UFO sighting in recent years. By New Force, a group of lights, some say white, others red, appeared over Arizona in March 1997, flying in a V shape across the sky. Dozens of people from all over the state reported seeing the phenomena, with most claiming the display was totally silent, meaning airplanes couldn't have been responsible. Flares, yeah. Though officials at the Luke Air Force Base admitted at the time that multiple people had phoned in about their sighting, they later claimed they hadn't heard a thing about the incident, and it wasn't until years later that the military finally came forward to reveal the Phoenix Lights had been nothing more than leftover flares. Right, flares.
Flares of what?
Well,
how long do flares burn?
Well, I mean, it's like they were out just burning them up. They were just dropping them because they were left over from, like they couldn't have been used for something better.
It went on for like 8 hours.
Yeah, they were long flares. No, I don't think that's really what happened, because obviously they denied that anything was going on for a long time, and then suddenly, oh no, it was flares. And I don't know, what was that? Simon, the governor, did that news conference where he introduced a guy in a big alien gray outfit and made a big joke of it. And then it turns out later that he admitted, no, I'd seen the whole thing too. I saw this craft and I had to keep my mouth shut and stuff. So I don't know what to believe. What was his name? That I can't remember that governor's name, but yeah.
No, I have no idea.
It was handled pretty poorly on a lot of levels. Unfortunately, a lot of people were really pissed about that because they saw something that scared them.
Right, and he's making fun of it.
Yeah, and he's making it a joke. Like, yeah, you guys are taking yourselves too seriously. That's what he said in that news conference after he handcuffed the gray alien. It was just really badly handled and really made a lot of people upset. Number 16, elk abductor. Well, as they were planting trees in a Washington forest, 3 foresters spotted a mysterious disc-shaped object hovering toward a herd of elk, and as the herd fled from the craft, a lone elk broke off from the pack and was quickly beamed into the ship.
Wow.
The craft then rose, wobbling with the weight of the elk before disappearing into the sky.
I'm sure the elk didn't make it wobble like that.
Yeah, probably not. It was probably drugs. They were under the influence. Alien egg. A month later, New Forest director Peter Davenport traveled to Washington, where he was shown the carcass of a pregnant elk found just a few miles from the forester's site. They couldn't confirm if this particular elk was the one that had been abducted, but if it was, then that begged another question. Had it been pregnant before its alien encounter? Good question. Maybe not a good question. I don't know what the hell that means. It was pregnant after its encounter?
Wow.
And died? Or what are we
Wow.
saying here? What's going on? I'm confused. Number 17, blinded by the light. While lying in bed in a Boulder, Colorado motel in 1969, a member of the Air Force reported his room suddenly darkening, followed by a bright flash of light. When he returned to base the next day, his roommate totally freaked out at the sight of him, and for good reason. Look at that picture.
Yeah.
Apparently, the young serviceman's previously half-inch long hair had grown to nearly 2 inches overnight. He later speculated that it had been abducted and taken to a place where time moves faster than it does on Earth. Though he couldn't say for sure, I still have trouble remembering many things, as it has always been very foggy since that time. But his hair grew 2 inches. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like two months of well, I don't know how fast his hair grows, but generally mine grows about an inch or so a month.
Really?
I think so. How fast does yours grow?
I don't know.
How often do you need haircuts, or do you get them?
I get them when I decide I need them.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Mine grows fast. In 18 close encounters, I think, how many more are there? I guess we're getting there. We're getting close. I don't know if I might as well just close this article. In 1982, how do you say this word? Leicester?
Yes.
Leicester, England man woke to find a soft light illuminating his bedroom, but the light wasn't coming from outside. Instead, it was apparently emanating from the face of a 4-foot-tall gray creature with a bald head and wide black eyes. Not a dream. The man pinched himself to see if he was dreaming and even tried to wake his wife so she could see the creature for herself. As soon as she stirred, the room went black and the alien vanished. Did I imagine or dream the whole thing? He wrote in his report. Absolutely 1% no. 1 million% no, rather. Yeah, that's freaky. That's where the crossover happens, like where the alien abduction or the alien encounter stories kind of blend or become ghost stories or something of the sort. Like there's a real bleed through there. That's right. You know what I mean?
Yep. So
like it's hard to differentiate.
That picture right there on the screen. That's the new picture I've been seeing on Facebook. It's like, aliens are watching, the new episodes of what's happening on Earth, and in less than, 2 seasons they've gone from pandemic to World War III.
Oh. Yep, gotta laugh. All right, here's number 19. Don't have a cow. In 1975, 2 men were driving home from a fishing trip along the roads of La Fontaine, Indiana, when they spotted a flying disc with white lights revolving around it. Ooh, I can relate to that. Land behind a nearby farmhouse, and when they arrived to investigate, they found no spacecraft, only cows running all over the road, frightened and mooing. Apparently, the cows had been frightened so badly that they had torn right through an electric fence. The 2 friends chose to keep the incident to themselves, even when a neighbor came inquiring, and he asked if we knew what had happened because the cows just don't break down an electric fence for nothing. We didn't say anything about what we had just seen.
Probably a good choice.
Yep.
Probably a really good choice.
Number 20, unexplained light show while parked on an overlook with his girlfriend in Olympia, Washington. We're really hitting Washington, Don. You notice that?
Yeah.
In 1991, a young man watched as what he thought was an enormously bright star suddenly split into a sphere of 20 points of light. The sphere began rotating rapidly and converging back into a single light, and then it turned completely red.
Completely red.
Oof. No luck on video. From there, the object produced 5 more identical red lights, which flashed in a synchronized manner as they flew through the sky in a straight line before disappearing. The young man actually managed to record the event, though the video only shows a blank screen with a few strange flickering whitish dots on it that seem to come and go.
Well, that's no good.
That is no good, and that's the article.
Always know how to work your...
Always know your white balance.
Well, just work your equipment.
Know your gear.
Yeah.
Definitely know your gear.
Yeah. Unlike this Swedish skier who didn't
know how to protect your gear.
Didn't have enough gear.
Yeah, that's so
to
sad.
protect his gear.
I just can't help thinking about
Well,
that.
he could have done like what I did. I built a shed over mine. It's mostly called pizza, but you know.
What?
Pizza.
Pizza?
That's what built the shed.
Oh, you give an overhang? Yeah. That's nice.
That's kind
keeps
of
the snow off it.
It's kind of a lean-to.
All right, let's go. We're going to go to some articles by Phantoms and Monsters. I've got a few of these pulled up. Some of them I'm sure are awesome. All of them I'm sure are awesome. But again, special thanks to Lon Strickler for making these available to us. As always, he's constantly working on this archives of his, and these stories are really fascinating. So we're going to go to Phantoms and Monsters, folks.
Phantoms and Monsters.
That's right. Definitely check it out and get involved with what he's doing over there. He's got some amazing things going on investigationally and just having an amazing archive of weirdness that he's constantly updating. But also check out his Phantoms and Monsters Radio, his podcast. It used to be called Arcane Radio, but it's now Phantoms and Monsters Radio. So the first one, Glitch in the Matrix. Mother disappears and then appears again.
Wow.
It's a brand new one, March 2nd, this posted.
Wow.
Glitch in the Matrix. Gotta love Glitch in the Matrix. A young woman lives across country from her family, but for some unknown reason, she's unable to contact her mother, and communication with the family is compromised. Then something bizarre occurs. When I was 22 and living across the country from my family, I tried to talk to my mom 4 or 5 times a week. After 3 months or so, she stopped answering her phone.
Wow.
So I called other people looking for her, and my father didn't answer. My grandmother wouldn't talk to me. She'd say she was busy and just hang up.
Wow.
Wow, that's love. And no one else had heard from her. No one knew where she was. Well, this lasted a few weeks, and I was starting to freak out. And then I got a message from someone about her estate and started crying. And I called my dad over and over until he picked up. Started crying when he heard my voice, and then he hung up on me. Oh, my God, what a weird situation. I kind of went into a trance because with no information, I had no idea what to do. I couldn't afford to fly home. I was living with someone and helping with the kids, so I couldn't just take off. And if she had been dead 2 weeks, I already missed the funeral. My family's faith mandates burial within 48 hours of death. Then 4 days later, after the call with my dad, I was on the train going into work, and the car shook hard for a minute and then stopped, and the lights went out. A minute later, it started again. The lights came on, and off we went. But I thought someone must have moved because the empty seat across from me had a person in it now. Then my phone rang, and I answered without thinking because it was my mom's ringtone. And she freaked out immediately and started crying and talking frantically because I'd answered, and she'd been trying to find me for 2 weeks. Oh, weird. So it was like they were both in a different version of reality, and they couldn't communicate, right?
Well, she couldn't communicate with anybody, apparently.
Well, they were just trying to reach each other, though.
Yeah, but I mean, even her dad hung up on her grandma hung up on her.
Grandma said, I'm busy. Click. Oh, jeez.
Wow.
That's a hell of a tree right there, Don.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. No, that's really freaky. I don't know. That's just surreal.
I don't even know what to think about that one.
Me either. That's what's strange. Is like how do you quantify what the hell's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did they do a dimensional shift and then shifted back or something? But wow, that's intense.
Because to me, it sounds like the other parts of her family knew something was going on.
Right, but they were like covering for it.
But so it just
like there was a big cover up going on.
I just don't know what to think about that one.
I don't either. A very strange story, but very cool. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing right there. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Here's one about a tall white aliens frequented Las Vegas casinos, according to the report.
Oh, great.
Tall white aliens. So let's see. The U.S. military has been working alongside aliens since the 50s.
Yep.
Claimed a former U.S. Air Force serviceman, these extraterrestrial beings were said to frequent Las Vegas casinos.
Oh, my goodness.
People have argued for multiple decades over the possibility of existence of aliens, and there have been incidents reported by humans claiming seeing extraterrestrial beings on Earth. An author, a former U.S. Air Force serviceman, is now claiming that he had seen human-like aliens frequenting Las Vegas casinos. For several years, there had been reports that an American author claims that aliens wearing human outfits frequently hit bars of the Vegas Strip. The reports note that Charles Hall revealed the account of his encounter with the aliens. Hall claims that the U.S. military had managed to establish contact with species of aliens called the Tall Whites, and he claims that the Defense Forces have also worked alongside these extraterrestrial beings since the 50s. He reported that the U.S. military merchandised technologies with these aliens. However, the big revelation to the general public was avoided because authorities believed that aliens were not emotionally ready for such an interaction. Oh, okay. Like we're the problem. Okay. I didn't know that.
They're on our planet and we're the problem.
Yeah, no kidding.
Gosh.
I think we belong here, if I'm not mistaken. But elaborating further, he said these creatures disguised in human clothing wore sunglasses to visit casinos and unwind. They reportedly visited places like Stardust and Las Vegas.
And that figures.
He also notes that casinos frequented by them were usually surrounded by CIA handlers.
Well, that figures too.
Yeah, it does. In 1964, when I was a weather observer at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, I witnessed interactions between the military and a group of mysterious tall, white, human-like extraterrestrials, said Hall. The report notes that these accounts were later revealed to be true. Also, the author's brief bio states that Hall's real-life experiences during his service as a weather observer in Nevada, Hall served as a military man in the United States as well as Vietnam. He claims that many of his colleagues at the former military base close to Las Vegas had an encounter with tall whites. This base is now not in use. He describes the encounter with these aliens as a shocking event because one is not certain whether they are looking at a ghost or an angel or it's simply a dream. Huh.
So that's interesting because I've actually seen the documentary on that.
Uh-huh.
That guy has a documentary out there that you can find. I don't remember where I saw it.
Okay.
But it was only within the last 6 months.
Oh.
And it's like Walking with the Tall Whites or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, he was talking about he was a weather observer and he had many interactions with these in the Nevada desert. And so, yeah, it was totally just weird.
Yeah. That is weird. It wouldn't surprise me a whole bunch. But here's another part of the article. Location, Las Vegas, Nevada. Date, May 1990. Time, 4 a.m. The witnesses were on his way back home to California and stopped off at the Tropicana Casino in Las Vegas and played blackjack into the night. He went to the restroom, and on his way back to the tables, he spotted and watched a peculiar individual walking up the stairs. The person had a hat and sunglasses on, yet something wasn't right with the way he was walking or climbing the stairs. It looked like he was stuck in mud. His knees sort of came out to the side as he tried raising his feet to take the next step. The witness noticed that there were about 3 more that looked just like him at the top of the stairs. Some were taller. They were all skinny, tall, and had whitish hair that seemed to shimmer as if light was bouncing off of it. The witness had never seen hair like that before. His immediate reaction was, "What a freak," he thought to himself. Suddenly, the one on the stairs stopped, turned, looked at the witness,
Whoops.
and the others at the top were looking down at him, and the witness, who felt guilty for staring and decided to get back to his table. Wow. So maybe they're telepathic, right? They heard him think that.
Yeah,
Like, what a freak.
Maybe
like,
you shouldn't think out loud.
yeah, I should think nicer. Think nicer thoughts, man. You never know when they're listening. All right, let's go to the next one. This one is from Phantoms and Monsters again, and this is a glowing white, shaggy horned cryptid observed in Greater Manchester Park. Uh-oh. There we go. All right, let's see what this one says. A married couple observes a bizarre glowing white, shaggy, ram-like cryptid while walking in a local park. Confused by the sighting, they ask for an explanation as to what they witnessed. My husband and I observed a white ram. I'm not sure how to describe it, only that this was a horned animal, and we're visiting Les Flash in Greater Manchester about 16 years ago, and we're near Pengy's Pond, which is one of the smaller lakes on the Flash. I don't know what any of this means. It is set up with bird-watching blinds. The more I think about what we saw that day, the more I realize that it shouldn't have been true or been there. Sorry. We thought it was strange at the time and actually ended our walk. We turned around and got back to the car and left, but we didn't really speak about it or pay it much attention after that. Now we feel differently about what happened, and we would like to know if anyone else has seen something similar in this area or anywhere in the UK. The creature had a warm glow to it, like a candle. Its hair, fleece, wasn't dirty or unkempt. It was pristine and white. It had coiled horns on its head. My husband remembers seeing hair or fur, which was long and almost like a mane around the head area. And I can't say I remember that, but I just remember the coiled horns on the side of the head. It seemed to have a warm, bright glow around it. It seemed to be on all fours when I watched it drink. It wasn't a stag or sheep or some other animal. We both could see it clearly, and it was a lovely evening, and the pond was still. I remember watching the water ripple as this thing drank from the pond. So they see it drinking. It says, we both have had other strange experiences at our family home. And my husband has been experiencing things since he was young, and I have too. But I spent a long time closing it down as I found it overwhelming, and now I feel I can approach it with a different attitude and feel much stronger after sharing what happened. On Sunday, October 1st, 21, an investigation team visited the area to do our usual follow-up and area check when they had a very strange event take place. MMM gave the following report. Oh, thank you, Paradox. Thank you so much. All right, says, I went out to Pennington Flash with C just after lunch on Sunday, and when we were there, we heard a really strange growl. After returning home, I checked the sightings map, and this is another report close to where a man walking home was growled at from the bushes. C and myself parked in the last car park where there was a donut van. We faced the lake, sitting in the car just a few minutes to get a feel of the place. And after a while, we got out, and my thought at the time was to head over first to the area of the sighting before looking anywhere else. We walked along the past play area and then took up the path on the right and went to Pengy's hide, which was all locked up. We then headed to the next hide along Bunting Hide, and we decided to head down the little dirt track to our left at the hide. About 5 meters in on the fence was a sign asking people not to go beyond the fence. At this point, we had a sense of urgency, change, and a feeling of being tipsy and lightheaded. Energy change. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Had a sense of energy change. Here at this spot, we both heard a very low and unthreatening growl, almost like, don't come any closer growl. And it was coming from the other side of the fence. Neither of us could see anything, but where the sound came from or heard anything moving around. We didn't feel threatened in any way and decided to carry on along the path on the right side of the fence. We walked along the path until it was too muddy and wet, and we headed through a wooded area and came to the fence again, which had been knocked down. With the fence not standing, we headed over towards the pond area where the ram sighting happened, and we took a photo and headed back to the path. Then we headed back so I could get this report over to you as quickly as possible, but not without getting some donuts for our journey home.
Jeez.
Boom, boom, boom.
Priorities.
Fine work, fine work.
Priorities.
Priorities, absolutely. Okay, so that is that one. Okay.
Wow.
Wow is right. Curious reports. Lots of curious reports. Here's a story, and I don't know if this is a new one. It's certainly a new report on phantoms and monsters, but I've heard a story like this years ago. I don't know if this is a retelling of that or not, but let's check it out. And this is Bigfoot helps lost girl find way back to her family. All right. Oh, sure. Go ahead. I'll just continue. Okay. It says a young girl is vacationing in a cabin with her family at Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. When she becomes lost in the woods, a Bigfoot shows her the way back to her family. It says, when I was around 7 years old, my family took a trip to South Dakota to see Mount Rushmore. We got a cabin in the very back of the property, for the one we reserved wasn't available. The family that had reserved the cabin before us extended their stay, so we had to take the only one available. And when my dad went inside the office, I went with him. I'm a total daddy's girl. Hi. And followed him everywhere, while the rest of the family stayed in the van. When we went up to the desk, we were told that the cabin we originally reserved was still occupied. We were offered one at the very discounted rate. When the clerk said this, a man beside him threw up his eyebrows and looked nervous. My dad jokingly asked him if it was haunted or something, and was met with another nervous look. My dad really didn't care about this type of thing. We got to the cabin and everything was fine at first. The only thing I really remember was there was a huge footprints going away from the front of the cabin in the mud. My dad put his size 12 foot up next to them, and they were at least 4 inches bigger than his. We noted how strange it was and went inside. Over the next few days, some strange things happened. Like once we came back from an outing and all the cereal boxes we had bought were out on the front lawn. Another strange thing was when we came back from the pool, all of our shoes were in the bathtub with the water running over them. Both of these times, there were no signs of a break-in. I'd been having strange dreams while I was there, and I'd never had any dreams like this before, so I don't believe that's what they were. And they were the same each time. I would wake up feeling watched, and in the window facing the woods, I would see a huge dark figure in the windows watching me. It would never leave when I saw it. It just seemed to be more interested in me. Now to the reason I'm writing. Sorry for the long intro, but I feel it was important to note all of the above. I went out on my own to explore, as I had done several times before this, and found some sprinklers set up on a hillside, and I was running and playing in them for quite some time. Unbeknownst to me at the time, they were septic sprinklers.
Oh, no.
They were septic sprinklers. Oh
gosh.
When I heard a loud crack from the woods on the other side of this hill I was playing on, and it piqued my interest since it sounded as if a tree fell, but I didn't see any disturbance that would point to one falling. I walked in and was there for quite a while, and heard some very strange things. There were things that I could only equate to a very heavy footfall, but never saw anything that would cause them. I had been wandering around for a long time trying to find my way back out, and getting more and more frightened as I went. I saw trees rattle and shake like something was jumping from tree to tree, following me through the woods. I started to lose hope that I would ever find my way out. I sat down on a rock and started to cry when I heard some heavy footfall approaching me and stop several feet beside me. I looked up and stared in the direction they came from before I saw it. It had to have been only 10 feet away from me, staring directly into my eyes. I say he because I saw proof that it was a male, was at least 8 feet tall.
Did you report him?
Yeah. Was at least 8 feet tall and was very still and very well camouflaged. He was like a black, dark green color, fully covered in hair. He had several minutes of uninterrupted eye contact until he looked up.
Uncomfortable eye contact.
Yeah, I bet. until he looked up to the direction that would have been slightly off to his left. I wiped my eyes and audibly asked, "What does that mean? What are you telling me?" He looked down at me again and raised his arm to point in that same direction. I looked where he pointed and asked out loud if that's where home was. But when I looked back to where he was standing, he was gone. I walked that way anyways and found my cabin right before it got dark. My parents were distraught, of course, but happy to see me. I told them what happened, and to this day I don't think they believed me. I buried this for a long time until I started listening to other stories. It brought it all back with such veracity that I had to share. Thank you for taking the time to read this, and I appreciate any input as to why this creature may have helped me. That's interesting. Now, that is actually a different story from the one that I'd heard before. The one I heard before was, I think it was a female Bigfoot, and it held the child's hand and walked this child back just to the edge of the forest to the clearing where his family was camped, and stopped there, and the boy went running back to his family, or I think it was a boy. It might have been a little girl as well. But yeah, really, really wild.
Oh.
Apparently, could it be possible they understand language, our language? And I think there's a possibility of that. Now, I don't know if we're for certain that this person is being legitimate with their story. I don't know. Is it just a fantastic fabrication? Sure, it could be. What if it's real, though? And that's the part that's hard, is because we formulate theories and ideas about these things based on the anecdotal evidence that we're given. So
Right.
How do you know to take this for the gospel or just to dismiss it
Right.
as a bunch of fantasy? And I don't know. I guess you have to have parallel lines drawn and maybe multiple parallel lines in your mind based on behavior, based on stories, based on possibility. It's like, are they man-eaters? Are they just benign creatures that are tolerant of us? Or are they very interested in us and want to be a part of our world but aren't sure how to be because we live in a very foreign way to them? And I don't know. But these kind of stories are pretty incredibly fascinating. Where did it go? How did it disappear just with the turn of a head? Maybe that's not a big thing for something like this that can move so quickly and silently. So many reports of them moving with absolute stillness and silence in the forest of leaf litter and stuff. I think it's really incredible. I love these stories, and I want this to be real because I'd love to think that these creatures are very benign and helpful for the most part. There might be some, the diversity of behaviors that,
Right.
Human beings have. There are people that are very helpful and loving and kind, and then there are a bunch of people that as soon kick your face in as look at you, So are these the same thing? And maybe so. So is it a real story? I don't know. But it's fascinating to consider. So whatever that's worth.
I think it felt bad for her because she was playing in septic sprinklers.
Just going, you got to get home, kid. You are stinking.
Gosh, you smell worse than I do.
Oh, my God. Septic sprinklers, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. That's Didn't the kid notice? Like, what's that smell? Why does this water stink?
Well, yeah.
Oh, God. Oh,
Yeah.
that's just, that gives me the Lulus right there. I'll tell you that. Oof. Creepy, right? What?
Oh, just Gigi.
Oh.
She's being Gigi. Well,
Yeah.
hi, Anubis.
Where is he? Oh, is he over there?
He's
He is back and doing great, folks. Just so you know, Mr. Anubis is doing pretty good.
What was wrong with him?
He had a bladder blockage and nearly died.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was in the animal hospital. and
God,
everything.
all of you guys were sick, huh?
Even the
You
cat.
got the cat sick.
I didn't get the cat.
Whatever.
I
Call it what you will.
Well, he got a blockage though. It was absolutely occluded and couldn't go, and he was getting septic.
Huh.
So he nearly died, but he made it, and he's back, and he's eating good and doing good. So he's back, folks.
This is the only time I've ever met him not pissed off.
Well, he's on these He's on these cat painkillers too, so he's all mellow.
Yeah,
he's like
nice.
super mellow now.
Nice.
He's all hippie. He went full hippie since he's been gone. So, yeah, he's still on
Yeah,
medication
no,
and
I
such.
didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, it was just. Oh, what was it? Saturday.
Oh.
We had to rush him in. It was just like he made sounds I never knew he could make. It's like, what's going on? And he was hobbling like a 98-year-old man, like
Really? Wow.
just hardly moving. It's like something is really wrong. So yeah, we found the pet hospital was open and brought him over there. So it was, one of those labors of love, because I didn't like paying for it much, but
I bet.
yeah, that's one of those things. But he's doing good, and so we got that going for us, which is wonderful, right?
It is. It's awesome.
So we got about 15 minutes left here.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got more show to do, Don.
You know, I wish we could open the phone lines up for calls.
Well, that would require calls.
Yes.
All right, the phone lines are open, folks. Call in if you want to talk to Don or myself. Tell us what time it is out there, what's going on, what's on your mind. Again, 720-923-0500. So call in. This is your moment. We're going to wait here.
What? Now that's different because they said, okay,
What?
Rachel says the smallest tyrannosaur is called Tyrannosaurus delong. With a name like that, if you're tiny, you got to be fierce. True enough. But
Just like Tom DeLong.
that's ding dong. But anyhow, that's beside the point with the TTPSA. But anyhow, so that's interesting because they said there was only three types. So how many types of Tyrannosaur is there really? Because they talked about the Regina, the Tyrannosaurus imperius, and the Tyrannosaurus ding dong. I don't know. I can't remember now.
I don't remember the names they
But
used
I thought
either.
they were only three. But I guess maybe there's more. Should be a Tyrannosaur diswort. What? I don't know.
I don't know either. The thing is that oftentimes people use the fossil record for such authority, and it's
Right.
like, clearly we don't know everything that belongs on the fossil record, and they're still finding new dinosaurs all the
Exactly,
time.
yeah.
They're finding new things all the time, new hominids, new fossilized relics.
They can find new dinosaurs just by examining the fossils they've got stuck in the wrong frickin' dinosaur.
Which also could be true. Yeah. So I just don't think the fossil record should have the authority it has.
No.
Certainly it can be utilized to maybe establish the things they have
Right.
verified on it, but it's not this almighty authority of completed chronicles. I mean, it's just such a work in
That
progress.
science is not settled.
No. There's not much science that is actually settled, in my opinion.
No.
Yeah.
Because the science changes all the time.
It does, as our understanding of science changes. Even, basic physics changes all the time because of our understanding of
Our continuing
growth of
Yeah.
the world around us, understanding the world around us. So I think it's really, I love the idea of the pursuit of knowledge. I just don't like the arrogance that comes with it.
right.
To make absolute statements based on partial records, I think is ridiculous and should be avoided at all costs. But it's all about paradigms. I think people want to hang on to their paradigm. They want to hang on to their...
Well, yeah, because they get paid for it.
Yes. Well, sure. And they get grants and they get
Yeah.
funding for their ideas. And
Right.
that's the problem with science, folks, is that science can be bought, and it is bought and purchased all the time.
All the time.
Case in point, smoking was nothing harmful happened with smoking for any, decades and decades of arguing. Because the science was purchased that said, hey, smoking is fine. Don't worry about secondhand smoke. Nothing to worry about.
Well,
Well, it turns out, folks, there's a lot to worry about.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, because there were a lot less preservatives. See, I have this problem with people who say that food is not the problem. Our food's fine. No, our food is not fine. Mm-hmm. Just like to say, so you have First Nations people who've smoked tobacco their entire lives and never had anything go wrong with cancers and things like that. And then in the 50s, it became glamorous, the 40s and 50s, when movie stars started breaking out and they were like Greta Garbos and the Rock Hudsons and the, you know, all
Sure.
of those guys back then,
Yep.
you know, Gary Cooper, you know, and they all smoked. They didn't have a problem back then. But as we get into the late 60s, early 70s, and into the 80s, now there's all these preservatives and these other things.
Slow burning agents.
Slow
and stuff.
burning
Yep.
agents, exactly. So how is it that you can say, you know, how is it that, oh, well, we used to not have a problem with it, but now it causes cancer and everything? It's because of all these things we've added to it.
Sure it
like
is.
our food source. Our food is not safe.
No.
It's not.
No.
You know, I mean, when you can throw a Twinkie on a shelf for 20 years and come back and still be able to eat it, there's something wrong with that Twinkie.
Well, you know, if you look at like crowd pictures from the 60s and 70s,
Right.
there was very rarely an obese person.
Yeah.
They were there. I mean, they existed.
Yeah,
of course.
exactly.
But now look at it. It's like, you know, 60% of the people in photos are overweight. And it has everything to do with our foods and the chemicals, the processing.
Exactly.
You know, it really does. Our bodies don't know how to handle these complex molecules like their simple counterparts in natural foods. And so I think that's also pushing the organic movement. And I think people, you got to be careful about that too, because just because something's labeled organic has everything to do with how it was grown, but it doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't treated. Or is it GMOs can be organic because they're grown in a specific method, right? Isn't that right?
GMOs, organics can't be. What is it? It's
It just has to do with pesticides and stuff mostly.
right. Yeah. So yeah. Well, no, GMOs can be organic. It's
Right.
just not. They're not. They don't use pesticides on it.
Right. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
Exactly. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's all in how you propagate and grow foods. It doesn't suggest that GMOs are these all healthy foods. We don't. There's a lot of controversy about GMOs, and I don't know where you sit on in that argument, but GMOs can be classified as organic. So when you're going to the organic food, you're like, oh, I'm eating healthy. Well, you might be. You might not be, though. And so that's where you got to be real careful. So I don't know. I guess we spiderwebbed into health. But it's essentially the idea is, folks, that science is purchasable because it's funded. And as long as the science is funded, it's funded to the tune of, look, we're the business that does this, and we need you to make that okay.
Right.
You know, and unfortunately, that's the tragic part of it, and that's the scary version, because, you know, there should be an integrity, and science should be blind. But when it's funded, and donations are made, got a hair or something in my mouth. Then it must be GMO. But you know, it's. You're right. The food isn't good right now. But especially when you look at those picture comparisons of crowds,
Right.
between the old crowds and now, it's like,
Yeah.
we're two totally different animals right now. And we didn't even go to space to have our DNA changed.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't grow 3.5 inches either.
No, you sure didn't. You're still my height. So, but yeah, science sucks. Well, I don't know if it sucks. It's just utilized for a lot of different purposes. So
Yeah.
I think that's the part. But
The food industry is a scary industry, yes. And there's the word though, industry.
yeah, it is.
It should just be agriculture.
It should be agriculture, but it's
It's
not.
an industry.
When you can buy a loaf of bread and keep it in your closet in my pantry for like 3 months, and it hasn't molded, something's wrong.
That's why it's called Wonder Bread.
No, it wasn't even Wonder Bread. I just wonder why it wasn't molded. Because it was like maybe a sourdough bread or something.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there's just agents.
It was
that
half
and,
in the grave anyhow.
and wheat.
Yeah.
Wheat in and of itself, just wheat. They use Roundup to make the crops all expire at the same time, so they can just they can go harvest them. So they spray all the wheat with Roundup. They kill it. Well, it's got glyphosate in it.
Yep. It bleeds into the next one.
Oh,
Yep.
and yeah, not only in the next one, but it stays in the grain and it gets processed, and it doesn't just wash out. You know, that's now part of that grain, and it gets into the bread. It gets into.
Is it ingrained?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Get a rim shot, but they've actually found glyphosate. Apparently, there's studies that suggest they found glyphosate in nursing mothers' breast milk.
Yeah.
Just from the foods that have been eaten.
Yep.
So,
So tell me the food is safe.
oh, I would never have told you that.
Of course, you know.
It's sure delicious, though.
You know, I got a thing for top ramen.
Yeah, I know. That's what Deanna did. It. I put on there. Yeah, it's great, and you can also fix your home with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know those videos where the guy's grinding down chunks of
and the
ramen?
epoxy,
Yeah, he's got something cooking. He's making ramen sinks and stuff. It's crazy. But anyway, folks, I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. I don't have nothing to add. Nobody called, so.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's your fault.
Well, so therefore, we're ending the stream now.
Yeah, we're going to end it now because that's about all we got.
Called.
This isn't the Food Network, and we went into a side tangent about food just because that was pertinent to the conversation. But we've run out of paranormal stuff to share with you for right now. I'm hoping we're going to do a show on Friday, but I can't be sure.
Gigi says, don't get me started on breast milk. That's where we all started.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but I will try to come back and do a show on Friday. I've got to be out of town all day, so I'm not sure exactly when I'm gonna if I'm gonna get back in time. But there may or may not be a show on Friday. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I have to go to Spokane, so I will keep Don posted, and I will of course update social media depending on how that's looking. But I think it should be able to happen. But if not, there may not be a show Friday, but there will be on Saturday. So we'll keep you posted as I know, but we're going to have to play that one by ear completely because it's going to be a full day. So anyway, see you Saturday. Absolutely, Ruthie. We'll see you then. And Jeffrey Dixon, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. We should do shout outs quick.
Yeah, there was a couple new names today.
I know. I should have done shout outs a long time ago, but so far we got Android, Chad Vota, D Ocean is here, Digger Dog is here, Eliza's here, Gigi's here, Jeffrey Dixon's here, Maggie M10, Monogard Nash, good to see you. Matt Tyrell is here, Paradox Fossils, Rachel gets it right, Ruthie, The Pharmacy Seeds is here. Yeah, Farm's been on the show. He's talked about nutrition with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's definitely been saying something when we were talking about it.
Was he?
Yeah, he's chatting away. I'm like, yep.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Yep, absolutely. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you so much for being here. Anything in closing, Don?
Good night, sweetheart. It's time to go.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. All right, everybody, I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. We'll see you next time here on the live show of the Paranormal Portal when that happens. Could be Friday, could be Saturday, but it'll be maybe both.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
We'll see.
We'll see you guys. Good night, everybody.
Good night.